Yeah, because, if I'm talking to somebody, for example, let's say a woman comes to me and she's like literally in the middle of menopause, for example, I can empathize in that space. Whereas my daughter who's 20 is like, hey, are we going out to party all night long? And how do I recover the next day from that? Right. I'm like, girl, I'm going to bed at 9 p.m. I'm past that part of my life. And then when you look at somebody who's in their 60s, they're in a different space. And so their journey is going to be different. And they're looking at making sure mobility is still going on, that they're keeping their body, as healthy as can be. Because you can eat whatever you want sometimes in your 20s, unless you have a medical condition. You get to your 60s, you got to think about it. Everything that goes into your body really matters.
Everybody, welcome back to Living the Next Chapter, the author podcast. You get to meet great authors from around the world. And I'm so glad to have this author here. She's in a new location. We're going to find out more about that. She helps a lot of people. And she's got a lot of great books for you, a lot of great resources. She loves podcasting. She does everything. And you're going to love her. Kristin's on the show. Kristin, welcome to Living the Next Chapter. So glad to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. Jumping over to Canada, doing a little travel.
Come on, today. Right? Doing the thing. Awesome. Tell everybody, where are you? Kristin, where do you live?
Yeah, so I am in the North Carolina area, originally from Connecticut. Spent a good 20-something years in the Washington, D.C. area, and I'm checking out coastal living now.
There you go. What do you love? What's new and what's exciting for you there in that new location?
Totally different. So I'm used to the hustle and bustle of the city. And so coming to an area that's very beachy and summer and touristy, definitely a totally different vibe. So getting used to a more laid back lifestyle, not as go, go, go. So just kind of adjusting all the way around.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Awesome. And what brought you there? Like, you could go anywhere. Why did you go there?
I know. So it's interesting. It was a journey for me. I wasn't sure where I was going to land. I was kind of in my spiritual awakening space and said, God, where do you want me to go? Like I'm doing this She Wise thing. I've got the publications company. I've got the wellness side going, and I'm doing this transformation, right? I had done the corporate America lifestyle and felt that it was time for a shift. I didn't know what that shift was going to look like or where that was going to bring me. And I was looking at Florida, looking at North Carolina, and during the time of searching, noticed some of the planes were going down, and I said, where can I drive to? So I ended up getting in the car and taking a trip down with the family because everybody's looking at relocating together in one area. And we stumbled across this area. So right now I'm kind of jumping between two places until I'm fully settled here, and just going to see what this area has in store for us.
Wow. Well, congratulations on a new chapter. It's the name of my show.
Yes,
Living
that was
the Next
good.
Chapter, right? So I had to put that in there. That was good.
Very clever.
Right? Insert name here. Right, yeah. But it is a new chapter for you guys. So it's exciting, right?
Totally new chapter. Don't know anybody here. This is just brand new. Clean slate.
Think of all the people you can sell your products and services to and all the people you can help because you're brand new. I like that.
Yes. And when you lead with, hey, I just came here from the big city, it's a conversation starter. People are excited. And I'm like, show me the Southern way. I'm from the North. I don't quite understand the pace and I have to learn. So I'm adjusting.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Tell us a little bit more, Kristin, what you do. I have your website up while we're chatting. Tell us a little bit what you do, who you serve, and then we're going to jump in and talk about your author journey. But tell us a little more about your website and what you do.
Absolutely. So during the pandemic, I got really, really sick and we couldn't figure out what was going on. I got to go visit a gazillion doctors and try it all. They thought I had every autoimmune condition under the sun. And so as I went through that journey, the Western medicine side wasn't really able to assist me. And so I found a naturopath and I found the holistic space, which was totally new to me. I was used to going to the doctor and having the EKGs and the EEGs and, see them all and see what they could find. And so I'm showing up in this office and they're talking about energy and, plants and holistic tinctures. And I'm like, what? I'm lost. I was completely confused, right? Because that was so far different from what I was used to. And so as I went on this journey, I started to heal and started to see improvements in both cognitive functions and physical mobility and all kinds of different stuff. And so as I did that, I kind of stumbled into the energy space and learned about Reiki and Biofield tuning and Zyto scanning, which is biometric scanning of the body to kind of tell you if there's an imbalance somewhere and which supplementation or activities could help support optimizing your wellness. So as I'm going on this journey, I'm journaling. And I'm literally writing down each thing that's happening. Like, here's how I feel today. Here's what I did for personal growth and development. Here's how much hydration I had. Here's how my sleep patterns were. And I'm literally just documenting the entire experience. And one day the naturopath said to me, well, you know, you're writing a book. And I said, no, actually, I did not know I'm writing a book. That wasn't my plan. I had no interest in writing a book. I've always loved to write, but I hadn't planned on going in that direction. And so as she kept saying that, I kept thinking, is this supposed to be a book? And what does that look like? Because right now it's a journal. It's just a documentary of all of the different experiences I was having and just kind of educating myself. I mean, at that space, I was reading probably 2 to 3 books a week and I was blowing through them. Some were in print. Most of them were audible because I was having so many cognitive function issues. And so I ended up taking this journal and creating my first book, which is Recreation, Surviving the Human Experience. And in that book, it's literally like rip yourself apart and study every piece of brokenness within you, basically. So I was looking at just the journey I had been on and the relationships I had experienced and created and trying to understand why I was attracting certain people into my space because it was very toxic. It was very unhealthy, didn't make very much sense to me. And I was new to this area. And so as I did that, I started to realize, oh my gosh, there's patterns. Now let me use my psychology degree. Let me, peel it back even further and figuring out which limiting beliefs existed for me. What was the narrative of, as Sigmund Freud always brings us back to childhood, what did my childhood look like? I had to really go deep. And as I did that, I thought, there's so many people that are walking through life right now that have absolutely no idea why certain people and experiences are in their physical space. So part 2, limiting beliefs. Why are we doing this? Why are we bringing this here? And then part 3 was the healing journey. So once you've identified these patterns that don't serve you and aren't doing anything great for your life, how do you heal from them? So looking at journaling and meditation and prayer and just whole mind, body, spirit work. And it's literally everything I did. I share it. It's raw. It's unfiltered. It's not neat and clean. It's messy. But that was the first book. And I titled it Recreation, Surviving the Human Experience, because I realized that as you go through life and you go through these human experiences, you're going to continue to recreate the same exact patterns as everybody in the generations before you until somebody stops and does the work and changes the narrative. But somebody has to be willing to do that. So that was kind of my introduction to writing. And when I got done with this beautiful piece of Word documents, I said, okay, what do I do with it now? And I'm looking going, well, you can go pay a publisher to publish your book, which seems frustrating because to me, I'm like, I don't want to go sell my story to somebody. I mean, I don't feel like having somebody tell me, oh, take this part out, make this juicier. It's my story. And I wanted that full span of control to tell it as authentically as I could. And then I said, well, I don't know, people self-publish all the time. How hard can self-publishing be, right? It seemed like it's doable. And then I started self-publishing. It's not easy. I'll say that. I explored Ingram Sparks. I explored ACX for the Audible version because Recreation is actually on Audible as well as on Amazon for paperback and then for ebook. But each platform had a different requirement and you had to learn different softwares and formatting. And so it took me on this windy road, but I was able to get Recreation out there. And at the same time, my mom was writing her book, Journey to the Awakening. So those were our 2 tests that we, went through. And then I just kept going. I said, let me create an LLC Let me have ownership of my books and let me figure this out. And that's what I did.
So then that created She Wise Publishing then.
It did.
Publications, right?
It
Wow.
did. That was the birth.
What a story.
Yeah, that was the birth of She Wise Publications. Because I said, I'm not going to hand my story over to someone else. And I had people approach me and say, well, don't you want it in Barnes and Noble? Don't you want it in BAM? And I said, well, it'd be fine if it made it that way. And that's what Ingram Sparks platform allowed you to do. You could get on there and then it can get into the mass distributions. But because I'm doing a lot of mind, body, spirit work, I know that there's a certain type of person or population that's interested in that. So I kind of went with the people that are supposed to read it are going to find me. And I've noticed that that's pretty much what's happened. It's available on the platforms, but I go to a lot of expos, and it's the connection of talking to people and seeing who really wants to do the work. Because you're asking people to do some stuff that some people just aren't ready to do. They're just not ready to dig deep.
Well, they would be approaching it the same way you did. You're like, I don't even know what this stuff is.
Yes.
And you're telling me to do these things.
Yes.
And you're like learning in real time while trying to find the answers to what you're feeling physically, right?
Absolutely.
So you know what it's like to be them.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. And it's funny because the she, most people think it's a pronoun, and I'm like, no, it's not actually. It's for surviving the human experience. I just shortened it because to me, it seems like as we're here on this earth, we're all trying to learn the different things, the tools and techniques to survive the human experience while we're here. I'm not talking about survival in the sense of survival of the fittest or fight or flight. I'm talking about what are the tools and techniques that can help us get through this whole span and this experience that we're all having together.
Surviving the human experience.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if anybody here would even put that together when they heard us talking.
Most people
And
don't.
they went to the gender, right?
Yes.
For the name of your business. That's interesting.
Yes.
Very interesting how you did that.
Yeah.
Like
Most people think of it as the gender, and then they'll ask me, oh, do you only service, are your clients women? And I'm like, no,
I see.
they're not. And so I've had to clarify that at a lot of events because I'm like, these books apply to everybody. After I finished that book, I went to write the Caring for Your Humans series, which is the set of books in the back there. And on that one is just straight mind, body, spirit. So I have that also broken into 3 sections. So the first section deals with how do you care for the mind? Then we look at how do you care for body? How do you care for spirit? There's so much literature about the body, and a lot of people forget the spiritual piece. And I'm like, if you don't make that perfect trifecta and you're missing a certain angle, you're going to miss a lot. So just reintroducing people to that spiritual connection they need to have. And then I created the workbook with it. So in the workbook, you're literally going through and you're doing the exercises. And I just kind of each section, I walk you through exercises you can do so that you don't read it and then say, well, that was great information. Now, how do I apply it? Yeah. I wanted them to apply it.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. For She Wise Publications, are you open for new authors to come and talk to you, whether they work with you directly or maybe some coaching around writing their book? Are you available to people that way as well?
Absolutely. Yes. I'm glad you asked. So I absolutely am. I love to connect with others that are considering self-publishing and are just looking for coaching in that space to figure out what are the steps. Because I'm all about streamlining process. For me, it's how can I save some time? And if I can help somebody not have to do all the things I did, I'm happy to do that, because it's so frustrating when you're trying to navigate this space and figure out, okay, what is the difference between Ingram Sparks and Amazon? And Amazon has 2 options, for example, to publish. Picking the right one. Are you going to buy your own ISBN, or are you going to use Amazon's? Because that matters when it comes to ownership and rights of your book. So there were a lot of little nuances along the way. And I personally am a person, I don't want to put all the eggs in one basket. So I was very deliberate about choosing how I approached publishing my own books, from copywriting to buying ISBNs to the actual publishing piece.
Okay. So a new author reaches out to you, you get together to have a conversation. What are some of the questions you would ask of a new author around their writing so that you can help them better?
Sure.
Because I think that's kind of reverse engineering.
It is.
For them listening to this conversation about well, these are some things I need to think about. So
Yes.
what kind of questions would you ask them if you
Yeah.
met them the first time?
So I want to know what type of audience they're looking for. Which ways are they trying to reach people? Are they looking just to do an ebook? Are they looking to do paperback? Are you looking to do an audiobook? Do you want to read your own audiobook? Are you more interested in having somebody, read it for you? Because those are also options. What is the space that you really want to tap into? Because depending on what you're writing, you have a whole different audience. And do you want to be doing book signings? So we'll go even further to look to say, are book signings something you're interested in? And if so, do you already have some of those areas mapped out that you could do that? If not, let's talk about some of those opportunities. Because I literally walk people on the journey that I did and learned to figure out what are some of the ways that you can maximize your time and your resources without completely burning yourself out. Because this is a challenging space. And I like to tell people, unless you're going to be, at the front of Barnes and Noble and you are on that top seller list and doing all the whiz bang things, books are not necessarily always the end all be all for your profits. It's a nice complementary piece to add to your portfolio to show that you're a published author. But if you're solely going in thinking you're going to make bank and retire and be on the beach somewhere,
Right.
I'm like, let's set expectations. So we talk about expectations, goal settings, pricing for the book, the markets that they're going to be in, that sort of thing. So it's literally almost looking at the same thing I do in my business coaching program through a whole different company, but it's geared towards the author side and the publishing piece.
How important is it to have a community around you as an author? When do we start building that community? Like when the book is done and published? Or should we start building that community maybe while we're writing the book?
Yes,
What do you think?
I agree. So I did it backwards. I would highly recommend that you build a community while you're writing the book, because I did not know I was writing a book. I didn't build the community because I was like, well, I didn't even know this was happening. So for me, I kind of did that backwards for the first book. By the time I got to my second book, so Recreation came out in 2023, the end of 2023. The Caring for Your Human series, to include the journal in the back there as well, came out in the 2024 span of time. So I had some time at that point. I had already done book signings with Recreation and had already been meeting a lot of other authors. And so it can be interesting depending on the space you're in. If you are in a space that has a lot of self-proclaimed experts or experts, some do want to partner with and share, and others don't. So even though you're in the health and wellness or spiritual space and there's room for everybody to play, not everybody wants to play because you could be perceived as competition, right?
Right.
So being able to feel that type of thing out, knowing that to a certain extent, your voice and your marketing, you're selling yourself when you're selling your book. So you need to be able to market yourself. So that collaboration is great, but then there's also some tension that can be encountered. So learning how to maneuver those conflicts and interesting spaces is another part. It's another art.
Right. There's so many moving pieces, and I'm glad you have something that helps authors, and that you have availability to talk to authors as well.
Yes.
Give them some coaching, some direction. That's something you would have been helpful for you.
Yeah,
right.
It would have. And I just think it's so important because I can publish somebody's book for them. Yes, you can do that. But there's a certain level of pride that comes with the ownership and knowing that it fully belongs to you. So when you're able to talk to somebody who can coach you through the process, but you get to make the decision. So that person isn't taking over your work. You're making your own decisions, and you're getting that opportunity to say, okay, I've got somebody who already has the lessons learned and best practices already figured out so that I don't have to waste any time, because it's all about time and money when it comes to publishing books. Yeah.
Okay. All right. For your readers, explain to me your ideal reader. What are some of the things they're dealing with? Your books would be a great resource, a companion, an answer to some of the things that they're dealing with. Could you kind of unpack for me, what is your ideal reader dealing with right now and how your books are going to help?
So my ideal readers depending on which series you get. If you're going for recreation, surviving the human experience, you may have been somebody who came out of extremely unhealthy, toxic relationships, could be romantic, could be family, could be friendships. And you are doing the work emotionally to unpack and dissect all of that and learn how to move forward without holding on, because a lot of times our body doesn't know the difference between the subconscious and the conscious experience. And as we replay a story over and over again, we're eliciting those same emotions in our body, right? So it goes back to the book, The Body Keeps the Score. And I always tell people to read that if they haven't, because that's what's happening as we're telling a story over and over again. But once you've done the work and you understand the why behind, you're able to move forward. So my readers that have gone through those really nasty spaces, male or female, I do end up with a lot of females that come to me, but this does apply to both genders. You can still do this work and move forward. Now, my Caring for Your Human series, those are people who are looking to improve and optimize their health and wellness all the way around. So you might be new to the holistic space. You might not know what Reiki is. You might not know what Biofield tuning or tuning forks or sound bowl is. And you're looking for new tools and techniques to just kind of add to the toolbox. You're on that healing journey. You're going through an awakening. You realize that we're kind of in a matrix in life and you're trying to move forward. Now, my newest book, Your Voice Is Not for Sale, that's here in the back with the mermaid on the front. I honestly thought when I started this book, this was the most unique book for me. I thought I was going to be writing about the struggles of being in relationship and losing my voice along the way. That's what I thought. And then I started writing this book and I'm getting all these downloads. I was working on my Reiki master, actually, certification. And during that, you get these different attunements. So you'll see and start having different dreams. And one day, mind you, I wasn't planning on writing a fifth book. I'm literally asleep and I keep hearing, here's this chapter title and that chapter title. And I'm like, what?
Oh, wow.
Another book. I'm tired of writing books. This is exhausting. It's a lot of work. And so I couldn't go back to sleep. So I finally gave up. I'm like, forget it. Let me just get up and write it down, because obviously this story is going to keep playing in my dream until I write it down.
Tap on the shoulder.
Yes,
right?
It was a tap on the shoulder. It's very, very not nice. I'm like, it is 3-something in the morning. I'm trying to sleep over here. And so I write it down. And so this book is interesting because I end up writing about human injustices. I end up writing about leadership and losing your voice in leadership, losing your voice in the work setting. If you were on the employee level, I talk about how to do vocal care for your throat chakra and just helping us not lose our voices in general. So although I do touch on relationship at some point, it goes through it all. I'm like, what social injustices? How do we get here? I'm so confused right now. So this book kind of takes us in some twists and turns that I didn't expect. But I mean, the moral of my story is your voice isn't for sale. So we often give our voices away. We give our power away, whether it's in exchange for a job that you're getting paid for, whether it's in exchange for a relationship that you enter, whether it's a social cause that we end up in, not wanting to rock the boat, and then we sit complacently. And when we sit complacently, now we're wondering why we're having thyroid issues. We're wondering why, people are losing their voices or having nodules on their vocal cords. Well, some of this, again, goes back to that energetic space of feeling like your voice isn't being heard. So that was a totally different book. So I feel like I can capture a lot of audiences. I also have Denise Clare's books that are published. And she's actually my mom. She's my business partner as well. She wrote about Journey to the Awakening. And so that book is about grief and loss. So loss of, in her instance, a child, which would have been my brother. And so she takes people through that journey to show them how they can move through and not attach to some of the deep, dark pieces of grief and loss, and how to move through that space. And then she writes a book called Healing from Within. And that's a channeled book. So she channels her messages from above. So she doesn't know what she's going to write most of the time. It just happens.
Wow.
And that one walks you through how to go on that healing journey and what it looks like. Even if it gets messy, here are the ways to push through and to heal and to be able to thrive in the life that you're currently on in this journey.
So it's a family affair between you and her to help people, right?
It is. And actually, on the She Wise Wellness side, I know we hadn't gotten there yet, but we have She
Yeah.
Wise Wellness. My daughter is actually part of that. So when we go to these expos, we have 3 generations.
Wow.
Yes, we have 3 generations, and we do Reiki, we do Biofield tuning, we do health and wellness coaching. And our health and wellness coaching, what makes it different than going and getting the person at the gym that's like, we're going to work out today. We're doing with the She 360 wellness model, where we're looking at your personal goals. We're looking at mindset. We're looking at emotions. We're looking at rest and recovery, health and nutrition, community connection. We take a 360 approach to wellness when we coach people. So you've got the energy services if you want that, and then you have the coaching. But it goes across. I mean, my daughter is 20, so we've got that generation covered. I'm in my early 40s, so we've got that generation covered. And then my mom's in her 60s. So we're able to kind of collaborate amongst all the different generations and different steps in life. It's very fun.
Yeah, because somebody who's 20 might not really understand someone in their 60s and vice versa, right?
Yes.
So you've got it all covered. That's amazing.
Yeah, because, if I'm talking to somebody, for example, let's say a woman comes to me and she's like literally in the middle of menopause, for example, I can empathize in that space. Whereas my daughter who's 20 is like, hey, are we going out to party all night long? And how do I recover the next day from that? Right. I'm like, girl, I'm going to bed at 9 p.m. I'm past that part of my life. And then when you look at somebody who's in their 60s, they're in a different space. And so their journey is going to be different. And they're looking at making sure mobility is still going on, that they're keeping their body, as healthy as can be. Because you can eat whatever you want sometimes in your 20s, unless you have a medical condition. Right. You get to your 60s, you got to think about it. Everything that goes into your body really matters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So you guys, you have a lot going on, and like in the old commercials on TV, but wait, there's more.
Yes.
You also have a podcast as well.
I forgot. Yes, there's that too.
Come on. People are listening. They want another podcast to fall in love with. Tell us about your show.
Yes. Oh, thank you for the opportunity for that. Yes. So I have the podcast, Surviving the Human Experience. It's on Dream Vision 7 Radio. It's a Boston-based dedicated global station. And so that podcast is fun because I bring people on to talk about anything human experience related. So there isn't a specific theme. I mean, one week I might have a birth doula on. The next week, for instance, this morning I had a herbalist that came on and we recorded for next week's show. I had a gentleman from California that published a book. He does a lot of work around teams in the workplace and looking at conflict, communication, and conversation. And so I want to bring people in the spotlight that are on the ground doing the work to help improve the human experience. So anytime, and luckily I haven't had to find my guests, they just kind of show up and I'm like, fantastic. So that airs on Tuesdays at 11 a.m. and 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And for those who aren't able to listen to it live, they can go back and they can go into the archives and they can just listen to all of the different shows. And you can get there from my website. So shewisepublications.com or shewisewellness.com.
/podcast, and there it's right there. I can see it on the screen while we're chatting. It's beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's fun.
Excellent.
It's fun because you get to connect with people and, we'll do the expos up and down the East Coast. We do a lot in Jersey and in Rhode Island, in Massachusetts and Connecticut. And it's cool when people walk up and they're like, hey, you're the podcast girl. And I'm like, people are really listening.
Isn't that weird?
You never know. You're just kind of sitting here with a mic. You're like, who are the listeners? But when you get to meet them in person, it's really cool. It's an awesome experience.
So beyond connecting with your audience and having time with them, which is great, the podcast and everything you're doing for servicing and helping people, what's your motivation in all of this? Like, you were on a health journey of your own. You're finding answers and you're sharing your story and helping others. But what is it for you that just keeps you coming back to keep creating and putting this out into the world?
So I had, a 20-year corporate career, and I loved it. I mean, I worked with human resources, so always helping people. That's kind of been my theme throughout my entire life. And one day I was just sitting there praying, going, all right, God, what is my purpose? Like, can you just help me out? Can I get a puzzle piece or two? Like, I feel like there's
Something.
supposed to be more here than doing the
Yeah.
regular 9 to 5 thing and the everyday life stuff, which I know is important to do. But I just felt like the journey I had been on was so bizarre and so different. And I know there are a lot of people that have gone through similar things, but there was just something that told me there's got to be something to this. And I just kept hearing to serve. And I was like, okay, but to serve what? How? Like, what does that even mean? And I heard it 3 times and I said, okay, forget it. I heard it 3 times. So I get it. 3 times is my number. You told me I'm to serve. And that means in whatever capacity I'm placed in. And so because of the unique journey and the different synchronicities that happened, I was like, okay, I don't know how this all unfolds, but I do know that I am not going through these experiences to keep them to myself. If I can help
Mhm.
somebody, um, have a more pleasant human experience, I'm going to do that, whether that's through the tuning and using sound frequency to, promote relaxation and restoration. If it's through a book because somebody said, I don't have time, I'm halfway across the world, even though I offer virtual sessions. So all of our wellness stuff can be done virtually. People think it's weird, but I do work on the hologram of the person. So I'm like, I don't
Mm.
need you physically
Yeah.
in front of me to be able to do those sessions. So some people like to read, some people like to be physically present, some like
Yeah.
to just have a conversation and they're just looking for a coach. But it allows me to share all the knowledge that I've been kind of accumulating over these last several years to hopefully improve the quality of somebody else's life. That's literally my only goal.
Well,
Yeah.
it's a that's a great mission in life, right? And
Yeah.
we need more of that. Again, going back to when you didn't know what was going on health wise,
Hmm.
you didn't have answers,
Right.
you weren't happy with what you were told, and you didn't even know where to start.
Did not.
You're in a whole new place now
Hmm.
with that in your background, where somebody coming to you going, Kristin, I don't know what's going on with me.
Yeah.
I don't even know where to start. You're like, I have been there.
Yes.
I know exactly where we can start with you and tailor something just for you.
Yes.
That's different than maybe somebody else might get, right?
Yes, I agree. And it's the people that have the mystery symptoms and conditions, and they're the outliers. They're the
Yeah.
1% that doesn't meet any of the criteria. That's the common. And people look at you and they think you're crazy. You've lost your mind. You're not feeling this. It's all in
Hmm.
your head. I'm like, no, it's not. Trust me. I went to all the therapists and made sure I got it in writing. This girl is not crazy. This is what's
Yeah.
going on. But when you're in those moments, I mean, there's 2 things that people will tell you that are most important in life. It's your health and your wealth, right? Without
Yeah.
money, it's hard to do things and get things done. And without your health, you're a prisoner in your own body. So
Right.
trying to make sure that those things are in alignment, it's huge. It matters. It affects and impacts your human experience.
Can you share a story of somebody that's come across your path and you met with them and you were able to help them to find a better path through working with you? Can you give us an example? Because we all love stories.
Oh, we do.
It's one thing to talk about, the high level knowledge part, but what's a
Yeah.
practical example of somebody that came through you and you were able to help? Can you share
Yeah.
anything? It'd be great.
So there's quite a few deep ones. I'll share one that was a spiritual battle. I had no idea what I was about to experience in this session. I was working with a young woman and she came in and she got on the table. We use a massage table for Biofield tuning. So you lay down and I have the tuning forks and I work in the outer field of your body. So about 6 feet on the left, 6 feet on the right, going about down almost 2 feet on your feet and then above your head. And so I worked in the field and she kept telling me, she said, there's this black hand that keeps coming over my face. And I'm like, oh, dear Lord. It's like, I never like these types of experiences because that's a darker energy and that's never a fun time. And so typically those are not my favorite moments. And then she kept feeling that dark energy come over her body as well. And I said, okay, we're going to have to breathe, number one, because I'm breathing when I do these sessions. I'm inhaling, and then sometimes you got to do a quick exhale to be able to push some of the energy to move through the body if somebody has stuck energy. And so I had her doing that as well. And she was, of course, frightened. And I said, okay, we need to recite that we walk through the light, that we walk with, in her case, she believed in God and Jesus. I said, we walk with God and Jesus. Whatever's here is not welcome here. It must leave immediately. And so during that, she started to feel a little bit of release. And then she said, oh my gosh, she's like, I see Jesus. And I was like, huh? And she's like, I see Jesus. And he's standing here with his hands open. And I said, oh, okay. Well, what are we going to do? Are we going to take his hand? Are we not going to take his hand? But as we continued through the session, the reason this was important is because for her in her present journey, she was battling with her spiritual beliefs. And she shared that she had recently put her Bibles in, and she was a Bible reader. So she had put her Bibles in the back of the closet. She had taken her cross necklace off. She was upset with the state of affairs in the world. And she felt like if there's a God, why are certain things happening in life? And so as we talked this through after me not knowing any of this walking into the session, okay, because I don't know what I'm dealing with sometimes, and I have no idea what might come up either. It's like a surprise for all of us. She shared with me how she had been going through this struggle. And I said, oh, okay, that makes sense because you didn't believe something to be real. So that had to present itself to you and you had to battle dark and light and you needed to make a decision. Were you going with the dark side or are you going to go over to the light? And she was just so shocked. She's like, I just can't believe what I just saw. And I was like, I don't know what to tell you. I didn't know what you were going to see either. So I tend to end up with a lot of folks when it comes to the energy space that come to me that aren't really aware of what's going on and don't even realize the depth of what's happening. So that's not an uncommon experience. That has happened in different ways and forms a few times. When it comes to my expos, a conversation will start at the table. And this one woman, she had traveled to the expo. She had to sneak out of her house to get there because her boyfriend did not want her going. Because, you know, it's all those woo-woo people at these health and holistic expos, right?
Those woo-woo people.
Yes. And so she comes over to me. That's why I do Biofield tuning, by the way, and Reiki, because for my people that think it's all woo-woo stuff, Biofield tuning has a lot of science backed behind it. So I like to blend science and energy so that my believers, whichever direction they are, we can get that figured out. And so she came up to me and it started like a normal conversation. And usually within 5 minutes, they tend to unravel similarly. It's the narcissistic abuse syndrome situation that presents itself. So a lady said, why don't you guys go back behind the curtain and chat? Because I had a thing set up so you could go behind to do the different sessions. And she just fell apart. And we chatted and I said, okay, you need the recreation book because that's the one that's going to help you walk through this space. And so the connections that show up are very unique. They're very different, but similar all at the same time. So I have a lot of stories, but they're all like somebody's on a journey and they just show up and I'm like, okay, we're doing this today. Yeah.
So would you say for a first-time reader coming to you, Kristin, that recreation book would be a good starting part for them?
It would be if they have gone through unhealthy, toxic relationships. If they're just looking for mind, body, spirit, and how to care for themselves on a different level, I say go for caring for your human. And I actually created a workshop that's virtual for that. That's on the SheWise publication. It's actually on the SheWise website. And you can go to, there's a link for meditations and workshops. And that one's on there. It's an hour long and you just literally, it's a digital download. It's got exercises, but it complements this book.
Okay, great. We'll have links for all that included.
Yeah.
And again, the podcast, you have that as well. We're going to have you back to talk podcasting, which is exciting.
Love it.
For that show, is there a starting point? Like just come to the next new episode, or is there somewhere to start as a listener that they can really get a sense of what the show is about?
Sure. So there is an introduction video on there. It's like the episode before the first episode. So they can listen to that. But really, honestly, each episode stands alone. There's no building point on each. So it's not like come back this week to hear more about. It's literally all standalone. The month of July, I did the SheWise Wellness series. And the reason I did that is because people were curious. They wanted to know more about Reiki. They wanted to know more about Zytoscan. planning. They wanted to know more about Biofield tuning and the She 360 wellness model. So that's the only month where it's just all me talking. So I tell people just take a look and browse because there's so much content that's there. There's something for everybody.
Well, you've covered a lot, and there's probably, we've just touched on what you do to help people, Kristin. And I love that you're approaching this from an author perspective through podcasting. You're speaking with people, you're doing things in public, you're coaching, you're covering so much. So I know you're in a new space and you're getting acclimatized to where you are and meeting new friends and new prospects. I think there's a lot of good things ahead for you in the future.
Thank you.
So just putting that out there, and right? It's great. I love meeting people who serve people. Right? It's great to meet people like you. I think we need more people like you in this world.
Well, I knew when I saw you, I said, I got to get to know Dave. What's going on? He's got some good stuff over there. And then I started listening to all your podcast series too. And
Come on.
yeah, I did. Because I was like, oh, wait a minute. Let me see what's going on over here. I love to collaborate and reach out to others. I think that's where the power in us helping humanity across the board is.
Yeah. We need some more positivity in the world and people with good messages and people who are that bring people into their world.
Yes.
And don't keep people out.
Yes.
Right? That's kind of the idea. So that's what I love about what you do as well.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Kristin, send us back to your website one more time. Let's promote. Come on.
Sure. It's shewisewellness.com or shewisepublications.com. My email is on there as well. You can sign up for the newsletter. Each month I do a drawing for the folks that signed up for the newsletter that month that you can win a shirt, a hat, and a book. And the book you get to choose. So I'll email and say, you're the winner. Which book would you like? And then I get that mailed out to the winner. The podcast, you can, again, reach that from shewisewellness.com or shewisepublications.com. It's a long URL, so it's just easier to send you there because it's going to send you to the Dream Vision 7 radio page. Phone number 240-927-3323. You can book appointments over the phone, through email, or on the website with us. And I look forward to connecting with whoever shows up in my space.
All right. Everyone listening, you just heard somebody amazing that you should reach out to and connect with. And Kristin would love to hear from you. When you buy Kristin's books plural, many, many books, leave a great review too. Let people know why you love them so that other people will see it and go, oh, if this person loved it, then I'm going to go and grab a copy as well. That's what we can do as readers. Right, Kristin?
Thank you. I appreciate that. People typically forget to go back and do the reviews. Reviews are so important. And they are on Google too. So for the business side, if you do the wellness services or something else, or for everybody's business, those reviews are what help the SEO marketing to bring somebody higher up on the list when somebody clicks in Google and says, tell me about a publisher or a wellness service. So very important. So thank you for that.
Excellent, everybody. You know what to do. Kristin, thank you so much for being part of the show, and we'll be keeping in touch. We got more conversations to happen in the future.
Yes, thank you.
Hey, thank you so much again for pressing play. As you've heard, great guests on the show. And one thing you didn't hear in this conversation is what? What did you not hear? Think about it for a second. That's right. Not a single solitary commercial for a mattress or a supplement or a whatever you call it. No. Why? Because we don't want to break up the conversation with commercials. So the fact that you're still here means that you are a fan of the show, I'm assuming. So if you want to help to keep the podcast going and to make me feel really happy, all I really care about is coffee. Okay? I just got to be honest. I love coffee. I'm drinking one right now. It's starting to get cold. I need to warm it up. Helping us with our Buy Me a Coffee link over at livingthenextchapter.com and also in the show notes helps kind of keep the lights on around here. Remember, I'm doing this for free. I'm paying for everything. So I would love to have a little coffee donation, even $5 kind of fills up my cup. And I would love to enjoy a coffee from you. So if you're interested, again, thank you for listening. But you can use our Buy Me a Coffee link and fill up the cup. Thanks for being here.